Since the EPA won't do it, we decided to go back to Mexico to ask some questions of the Americans who run these plants.
Mr. Olmquist?
At General Motors, where those high levels of xylene were found, officials refused to talk to us. At the Retzlaff Pesticide Company, where we found those excessive levels of benzene, officials issued a memo saying they're cooperating with Mexican authorities. But manager Charles Davidson wouldn't meet with us.
Mr. Davidson, would you please talk to us for a second?
No, sir.
Why not? We want to talk to you about contamination in your backyard there.
No, man.
And what about officials at Stepan Chemicals, where we found that xylene and petroleum and mercury? We had to travel 2,000 miles north to company headquarters outside Chicago to find President Quinn Stepan. He had refused our requests for an interview.
We took some samples of your plant, your chemical waste down in Mexico, and we found some pretty nasty stuff there. Things like xylene. It's been linked to birth defects. Some people are worried that your chemical waste may be contributing to birth defects in Brownsville. How do you explain the high levels of xylene that we found 2 weeks ago?
Your data had to be a mistake because we do not discharge any xylene. Your data is an error.
In fact, Stepan was in error. Tons of xylene are processed every year at his plant in Matamoros. Still, he claimed it's all within the limits set by the Mexican government.
Has the EPA ever inspected your plant in Matamoros?
No, it's outside their jurisdiction. We've had a number of meetings with Sedui. We probably meet with Sedui, on a monthly basis.
Sedue, Mexico's environmental agency, has a questionable record when it comes to enforcement. In Matamoros, people are complaining that Sedue is powerless. A few weeks ago, Domingo led a group of residents to confront their local Sedue official. They demanded answers to some long-standing questions about pollution in their neighborhoods. The man in charge has little to offer. He wants more time to gather information.
Se han quejado por 10 años. They've complained for 10 years. ¿Por qué no ha hecho nada el gobierno? Why hasn't your government done anything?
I understand, sir, but I've only been in office for a few months. I'll try to get some information, and I'll get back to them in 3 days.
3 days later, we follow the residents again as they return for their promised answers. This time, we're not allowed inside. Instead of helping, the Sedue official accused the women of being foreign agents, and he said they're all under investigation. And what about the American environmental protector?
You couldn't tell me right now what kind of chemical waste is coming out of those plants south of the border.
I think we'll be able to have a good estimate in that regard in a couple of years.
In the meantime, how much mercury can come through? How much styrene? How much xylene?
Well, we got to work on these things one step at a time.
Scientists aren't protecting us. We have to do it. We have to learn how to do these things. We have to know what's going on here.
Last Friday, the parents of 16 babies born without brains along the Texas-Mexico border filed suit against 88 American and Mexican corporations. Since we first broadcast that investigation last year, 6 more babies in Brownsville have died after being born with anencephaly.